Hello, bookworms, bibliophiles, and lovers of all things literature. Welcome to the next chapter of the Braless Book Guild podcast, where we discard our bras and find out who done it to talk about books both published and unpublished. We are your hosts, Jenna.
Hi, guys.
Marissa.
Hello.
And I'm Megan. All right. Before we get started, let's talk about the special tea we're drinking. It's fitting because it matches the book.
Yeah.
Tell us, Jenna, since you're the tea lady.
So this is from our local tea shop, which I used to work at. It's called Mr. Darcy. It's a black tea with kind of some berry notes to it. A very slight floral flavor, but definitely has the tart berry notes. And yeah, it's called Mr. Darcy, so we kind of love it. It's the first tea that I think all of us got hooked on that tea shop with.
Yeah,
so.
we've had it before.
Yeah.
And we've had this conversation before.
Oh, yeah.
That's
this
okay.
is feeling very deja vu.
It's meant to be.
But it works because it's Mr. Darcy, and we read
The Murder of Mr. Wickham by Claudia Gray. So Claudia Gray is an author that I have mentioned before. She's one of those that I absolutely loved. She did the Firewood trilogy, which is the one where they travel through different dimensions, and she decided to try her hand at a retelling of Jane Austen novels. So, yeah, I guess we'll just get into it, and then we'll hop into spoilers a little bit later. Obviously, this is going to be very spoiler heavy because there's a murder involved, and the whole plot of the book is to figure out who done it. All right, so basically, this book combines all of Jane Austen's novels, which is Pride and Prejudice, Northanger Abbey, Emma, Persuasion, Mansfield Park, and Sense and Sensibility, puts them all in a very unique timeline, and then is set like a couple years after they've all, had their all happy endings. And poor Mr. Wickham does not get a happy ending in this one. Not poor Mr. Wickham.
Spoiler alert, he dies.
Yes.
in case you didn't catch on.
In case you didn't catch on. So yeah. The basic plot line is, so from Pride and Prejudice, we have Elizabeth Darcy and Mr. Darcy and their son, Jonathan. And they go to visit Emma Woodhouse / Emma Knightley, her and George Knightley's house. And they all basically invite everyone from the novels together because they all have one connection or another. And so from Northanger Abbey, we have Catherine Tilney and Henry Tilney's daughter, Juliet Tilney. She is the only one from that book who makes like a large appearance because her and Jonathan Darcy are the main characters. And then, as I already said, from Emma, we have Emma Knightley and George Knightley, and it's set in their house, which is
Donwell Abbey.
Good job.
Woo, look at you.
Oh, it's because I had read the thing at the back before.
And
I
then,
didn't even notice that there was stuff on the back.
And then from Persuasion, we have Anne Wentworth, Frederick Wentworth, Mansfield Park. So it's really interesting that the men have first names because in the Jane Austen novels, half the time they're just Mr.
Yes.
So it's Mr. Darcy. Did you know that his first name was even Fitzwilliam? I did, but I did not know that, what was it? Sense and Sensibility, she did say, though,
She
technically, based off of the movie,
Yeah.
the 1995 movie or 96 movie. Anyway, from Persuasion, we have Anne Wentworth and Frederick Wentworth. From Mansfield Park, we have Fanny Bertram and Edmund Bertram. And Sense and Sensibility, we have Marion Brandon and Christopher Brandon. And they are the newlyweds of the book. So basically, they're all having a lovely dinner. And then it's like a month-long stay that they're planning to stay at the Donwell Abbey. And Wickham shows up. He darkens their doorstep and decides that he's going to try and swindle everybody. And then suddenly, dun, 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 he dies. Jonathan and Juliet decide that they are going to work together to kind of figure out who killed him. Why are you in that chair?
Because I decided to give it a try. I feel like this one's going to work out better with my arm.
Oh, okay.
Because the other one has an armrest and it gets in the way.
Okay. Future
She's working
Marissa.
on her abs.
Yeah. They basically decide to throw propriety out the window, solve a murder, and it's very interesting.
Yeah, so the thing about why they let Mr. Wickham stay at Donwell Abbey is that it's storming.
Oh,
and so
yes.
like that
That's
was
an
a big
important
thing.
part.
Like no one could leave, and they couldn't like properly kick him out because of society.
Exactly.
So they're like stuck in the house, and everyone's stuck together.
And it was like days.
Yeah, for a few days. And like over the course of the days, like you learn and find how Mr. Wickham is swindling each person.
Yeah,
and
it's
like
connected.
their negative feelings towards him.
Which
Giving
is
everybody a motive.
Yes.
which is very important to the story because it gives everyone a motive, except Jonathan Darcy and Juliet Tilney because she had to go pee. I thought that was really cute that for her it was traumatizing.
Yes.
But it was really cute that her chamber pot broke to the point that it was unusable. So she's like, I have to go to the privy. And of course, privies were outside back in the day. Makes sense, but also it's horrible.
In the storm.
In the storm, yeah. So she was safe because she was outside, and then she's ultimately is the one that discovered the body. And yeah, so I guess overall, what did you guys think?
I think it took a lot to get into.
I agree.
It definitely was a very slow start, especially for me because I didn't read any Jane Austen novels. I read Northanger Abbey, but it was forever ago, and I don't remember anything for it. So it was really slow start for me because I didn't care about these characters yet. I was just like, and it was a lot of exposition on who these characters were, which was important. But once we got to the murder and the mystery of it all and them actually trying to figure it out, I started to get a bit more into it. But yeah, I liked it. I wouldn't say it was my favorite book, but I liked it.
What was your rating out of 5 stars?
I want to say I gave it like a 4 maybe.
Oh, okay, that's
3.5
pretty high.
or 4. I don't remember. I'm really bad about actually doing a rating on these things, guys.
That's fine.
Did I write it down?
How about you, Jenna?
For me, it was kind of the same way. The funny thing is that I have read all of Austen. However, it's been more than 15 years since I've read Austen. So, because I read her in high school, I went through a phase where I was like, I must read all of these. And I love classics, but I don't reread classics.
Yeah.
So the ones I'm most familiar with are the ones that they've done movies on.
Yep.
That I actually enjoyed the movie of, or I cared to watch the movie. I have not watched Persuasion because I'm debating whether or not that's worth gouging my eyeballs out if I really hate it.
Is there a movie?
Yeah, Netflix did a movie. It was funny because after I listened to this, all of a sudden Jane Austen starts popping up all over my feed because, my algorithm. And it's Dakota Fanning from Dakota Johnson. Whatever the girl from 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, yeah. Dakota Johnson.
But it's essentially like set in the time period and but they rewrote all of the script so it's very modern.
So they Gatsby'd it.
Yeah, so it cracks me up because I saw these reactions to it, and that's what made me oh, do I want to watch this? And it was Jane Austen, never had two souls been so alike, and so blah, 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 and now they were separated and could never be brought back together, and I'm misquoting, sorry. And then it was Netflix, and now we were strangers. No, worse than strangers. We were exes. And I'm oh God, this is awkward. Oh
man.
And so it's, I'm not sure that I want to do the awkward retelling where I have to listen to the cringy millennial, or not millennial, even Gen Z.
But Dakota Johnson is a millennial.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So I don't know. So I don't know if I'm going to go through that for myself. But so I'm obviously very, very out of remembrance of what happened with most of the Jane Austen novels. The ones that I remember most is Pride and Prejudice because I watch that every few years because I love it. And they actually did wonderful jobs with both the movie and the 6-hour-long movie.
BBC. Were you there the first time we watched it at Angela's house for one of her New Year's parties?
Maybe, probably.
And I remember the girl who brought it was you have to nobody can talk during this because you have to pay attention because everything they say has meaning. And I remember being okay, she just wants everyone to not talk during the movie. That's fine, whatever. And then I watched it. I was she was right. You have to actually pay attention.
You do.
Because there's so many subtleties.
Yeah. Yeah, so I own both. I love both. That's one I'm most familiar with. So I feel like that's why I had more of a connection to the Darcys while reading this, because it felt more like I knew their characters better. But it did make me want to reread all the other books.
Yeah.
I thought that this was it was funny because I was thinking, like, it's published fan fiction.
It really is.
Yeah, no,
I agree.
I was going to say that. I was all like, this is a very well-written fan fiction.
So well written.
I agree. It very much felt like a Jane Austen novel to me if Jane Austen decided to write her own fan fiction. I think Claudia Gray did such a good job of depicting the verbiage and, like, the style of writing that Jane Austen did.
Yeah.
And, like, she said she did in the front, she did research, especially to, like, set everything up for timeline-wise. She did make a little tweaks for herself so it could make sense. Like, she said that Emma would probably actually be later than Sense and Sensibility on the timeline, but she wanted them to be able to host their own party.
Yeah.
And not be the newlyweds, which is the Marianne and Colonel Brandon characters. But yeah, I loved this. Emma's my favorite, so I loved that she was, like, such a big part of this. Mm-hmm. And Emma's my favorite, and I think I've mentioned this before, only because Clueless is my favorite movie, or one of my many favorite movies that I love, and I rewatch that all the time. And I still think that is superior to any other Emma retelling out there. The Gwyneth Paltrow one, and then they have the new one that Netflix also did, which with Anya Taylor-Joy.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like those as much because Clueless is just superior.
Well, Clueless is that perfect retelling without trying to be exactly what, like, it doesn't. It was like
it doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was like the Amanda Bynes. She's the Man. It's not. It's obviously a retelling, but it's not so word for word that you felt like
you're criticizing every little bit of it.
Right.
It was so different that it didn't have to be exactly the same, and that's what made it good.
Yeah. Yes. So sorry, Jenna, what did you rate it?
I think I'd give it a 3.5, maybe a 4. I really liked it. Probably about a third of the way through the book, I was intrigued, and probably about 2/3 of the way in the book, I actually found myself really liking it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And by the end of the book, I definitely was like, I'd probably read the next one.
Yeah.
So I think I'll probably say 4.
Yeah.
4 star.
I agree. I think I gave it 4 stars only because I totally agree with you, and I think that this is just a very difficult book to start and make it a very fast-paced book, especially when you have all of these characters that you kind of have to introduce, plus all of their backstories, like Marissa said, and their little side stories that they have. But I do think that Mr. Wickham should have died pretty quickly for us to... I understand that you had to, like, build up the hatred towards him, especially for those who don't know Pride and Prejudice, but I also was so upset with the like portrayal of Elizabeth and Darcy's relationship, because they're like peak relationship status, enemies to lovers, that people like absolutely adore, and there's a reason that Pride and Prejudice is her most famous book. And to have them suddenly going through a turmoil where their like entire marriage is on the line kind of made me feel really bad.
Yeah, it was hard to read all that stuff too. I had a hard time with that, although I think I related in a way, because you could obviously tell that something had to do with a kid.
Yeah.
And so, like, to me, it was something that I understood, because that is usually the make or break for relationships that are solid, is if something happens to one of your kids.
Right.
That's usually, I mean, if you watch any crime drama or anything like that, like, once something happens to your kids, it either makes people closer or
tears them apart.
Yeah. And because Darcy's who he is, and Elizabeth who she is, I could see it causing that turmoil a little bit.
Yeah.
So it felt realistic, but it also sucked to read about it.
Right. So yeah, the person you're talking about is Susanna, and it is told pretty quickly early on that Susanna has passed away, and she was basically adopted by Elizabeth. She is George Wickham and Lydia Wickham's daughter. Mm-hmm. And they basically just didn't want anything to do with her, so Elizabeth and Darcy basically adopted her, but then she got sick and passed away.
I think the crazy thing is that we had this, like, Megan made this whole list of characters, which was super helpful.
A bookmark.
Literally, her bookmark is a list of characters, what they're from, kind of like a reference sheet, which was helpful to me. I wasn't constantly looking at it, but it was. It was nice because it was like, oh, cool. So it kind of gives me a little bit of understanding. There are some people, like, I'll be honest, I didn't think Mr. Wickham was actually a character in the novels.
Oh.
I thought he was just a character that was
made
to, die so that they could have a plot.
He is also the main villain, yes.
Yeah.
In Pride and Prejudice.
In Pride and Prejudice.
I didn't even know that.
Right.
But to the credit of Claudia Gray's writing, each character seemed so unique to me.
Yes.
And it never felt like... Because you read fan fiction sometimes and you can tell that, like, this person's writing about these characters but giving their own voice to them. Mm-hmm. Where this one actually felt like each character was their own character.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So without having read Austen's novels, I felt like everybody was unique and individual.
Yeah. And they did feel true to the novel. It felt like I got the impression that you would get from an older Emma of, oh, she wants to meddle, but she's learned better, but she still kind of needs to meddle. And like, yeah, it had those feelings. It had the impressions and voices that were still there from the novels, from Jane Austen.
Yeah. The only thing, and another thing that I think only put it kind of lower than 5 stars for me, was the constant point of view shift, which I do understand why it was done, and I think it was done well in the sense that we were able to get a sense of all of the characters, but it was just so often, and sometimes you get like 2 paragraphs and then on to the next character, not even like a full page. I would have probably preferred like singular chapters that focused on each character, and then we could like slowly develop, but that won't stop me from reading more. So
I did this audiobook.
Yeah.
And the narrator, I think she did a really good job. I should look up who she is. But the narrator, I think, did a really good job of distinguishing points of views with how she read. So when there was a shift in who we were focusing on, it was very obvious without it being like a long pause or anything in between.
Okay, that's pretty good.
It felt natural the way that it flowed when she read it.
So the funny thing is I also listened to an audiobook. I'm looking up to see if I can figure out who the narrator is too.
Oh, or it's a race.
Yes.
It's a race.
Who's getting it first?
But I was so worried that I wasn't going to finish it in time, and it was so soothing to listen to her voice that I had to put it on 1.5 speed so that it increased the intensity for me.
Yeah. Narrated by Billy Fulford Brown. So Billy, you did a wonderful job. Yeah.
Goblin.
Wow.
It was a fun name and it threw me off. Billy, you did a wonderful job.
Yeah. She was very soothing. As I mentioned before in other podcasts, I fell asleep within the first 3 chapters because her voice was so wonderfully soothing, and it hadn't got to the murder, and it was just the setup, and it was kind of slow, and I'm like, it's fine, and I just kind of drift off and fall asleep. So I was so afraid that I wasn't going to finish this in time, because originally we were going to do this episode earlier. And so I put it at 1.5 speed, which made her talk really fast like this. And I had to, and all of a sudden my anxiety is much higher now because it's, we have to pay attention. These things are happening very fastly. But it was cool. It was cool to listen to it, even at that higher speed. It didn't feel like I was speed reading through it. It just felt like there were higher stakes. But I think that she did do a good job with breaking each point of view. I'd say the only thing that really took it down for me, I wanted more clues that actually pointed to people
instead of pointing you
all
in
over
a
the place.
completely different direction. Yeah.
Well, that's how murder mysteries are supposed to go, but the hard part of writing a murder mystery is giving you just enough clues that you can guess the murderer without
I could not.
telling you who the murderer is.
Yeah.
And so I think that was part of the problem with any mystery like this that is written, but this one particularly, is that she couldn't give you the proper clues because it would be very obvious, but she wanted to give you these red herrings that
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like
so-
the ring for
which
for-
is
what's her face? Fanny?
Fanny.
which is frustrating as people like me and Jenna reading, where we try to figure it out, and it's kind of our goal to figure it out before you get to the end.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't do that when the author's not actually giving you
Right.
Enough hints.
yeah.
She was pointing more towards the mace falling off the wall and knocking him in the head. Because that's
Until
what
all
I
of a sudden
got.
it got the bust and
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then-
this randomly discovered it.
yes. I really wanted when it was Jonathan who went in and like was like, oh, I have privacy, so I can like kind of do my macabre pretending that I'm here for the scene and what it would look like, and that's when he like discovered the bust, and I was like, I wanted it to be like more interesting and more like, oh, like suddenly it's, you know, had this weird like angle. Suddenly it made him rethink everything because it had to have been someone shorter than Mr. Wickham or something, you know. But it didn't lead me anywhere other than nope, it wasn't the mace, so it was definitely the bus. Definitely one of us did it. Like
I kept thinking, oh, it's got to be, you know, an accident. He slipped and bonked his head or something. Nobody, because I didn't want anybody to be the murderer. Because, you know, you have these, like, very wholesome characters that are just out there for love in the original Pride and Prejudice, or the original Jane Austen books. And then, so I didn't want anyone to be the murderer. So I kept thinking when they were just like, oh, it must have been the staff. I was like, yeah, it better be the staff. Because I didn't want it to be anybody here.
yeah.
I will say I do loved that comment that was made and how Juliet picked up on it, and I think Jonathan picked up on it too, where they were trying to blame the staff.
Yeah.
Or blame the
Intruder.
gypsies, which were
Yeah.
was the term that she was using because that's the term they would have used at that time. And they're all like, that's such a scapegoat. They can't do that. We have to find out who the real person is. I liked that.
Yes. I agree. I think that him just being like, oh, yeah, no, it definitely would be the staff because these people are all from well-to-do society. They would never murder anyone. I'm like, well, it is Mr. Wickham, so. All right, so fun questions that were in the back of the book that were actually provided by Claudia Gray. The first one is, the murder of Mr. Wickham features most of the principal characters from Jane Austen's novels continuing their life stories after the original books. Which of the characters' futures felt more believable, most interesting? Did any of these futures ring false for you? If so, why? So for Marissa, we will just like adjust this and be like, is there any character that stood out to you as being like more interesting, or like their past seemed more interesting that would make you want to read the books?
Oh, that's a good way of phrasing that. I think,
Do you need the...
yeah, I'm
reference?
grabbing the character list. Let me look up the characters, what they were. I think a hard part for me with the Jane Austen novels was, even though it was kind of like it was the feminist books of the time, even though it was still very high society, they had these like individual thinking and stuff. I still didn't read it because I'm like, this is so like traditionally like, oh, I'm the weak woman, even though I'm not. I'm strong and independent, but I'm still the weak woman. And
Elizabeth Bennet walked by herself. She's so independent.
I know.
In the mud.
And Juliet Tilney here, our made-up character, she was very independent in this. She was like...
She was all by
society be
herself. She
damned.
didn't even have her family.
I know.
And she was like, yes, I do like the more dark stuff. I am intrigued by the murder.
I'm going to solve this murder.
Yeah, I liked that. I think, honestly, agreeing with Megan a little bit, Emma was probably one of the most intriguing ones to me because of her, like, little meddlesome ways that she was all like, I'm going to try and spin this little web that I got in front of me. And I don't, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but was it Emma or was it Elizabeth that was helping her with the like clothing scheme?
It was Emma.
Yeah. So that's something that I thought was really interesting to look at. But I will say,
Or was it Elizabeth?
I think it was Elizabeth.
Because she went to Emma first. and looked at her
I was
clothes
like, oh, your
first.
dress is very nice.
I'd like to look at all of your dresses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did like that, helping her out in that, helping Juliet out with that. And then the other one was, who were the ones that just wanted to go on the boat?
The Wentworths.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Wentworths. Yeah, I liked that because I was like, the way they talked about their past in that, I don't know if it would be written in a way that I'd like, but I thought that would be a very interesting novel to read as far as, like, them being on the boat.
I want to read Persuasion again. It's known as her most romantic book.
Oh,
so
interesting.
It's supposed to be her
Okay,
most
never mind.
romantic
I don't want to
book.
read that.
But I think it also has that interesting, like, twist to it where I'm pretty sure the Wentworths' second chance romance.
Yes.
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because that's what Persuasion was
Yeah.
she was persuaded to not marry him, and then now it's like, I don't know, however many years later,
Yeah.
she's like, I should not have listened to that person.
Yeah.
So,
I will say, that all being said, I did write down that my favorite character was Fanny.
oh, yeah.
Yes.
I
loved
think she
Fanny.
was my favorite character in the book because she was the one that I was like, I am so intrigued by the mystery of her
Yeah.
that she was the one I gravitated towards.
I couldn't stand her.
She was annoying in the fact that she was like really quiet and really whiny, but her mystery was like, I need to figure this out. Okay?
Right.
Like, she was
Yeah.
the one that I focused in on.
I think what was nice about Fanny was that she was the one who, like, stood up to her husband.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because she disagreed with how he was reacting and being. And it was like, she didn't want him to be mad at her. She didn't want to be mad at her. And then also she's like, but I'm mad at him.
Right.
Like,
I loved that. I did love
and
that.
it was like, it had that moment of empowerment that, like, there was something bigger than just falling in line where your husband tells you to be in
Yeah.
that time period.
So I last year binged I don't remember what they were called, but it was Pride and Premeditation, and these are by Tirza Price. It was Pride and Premeditation, Sense and Second Degree Murder, and Manslaughter Park. So when I read Manslaughter Park, which has Fanny Price in it, she was this kind of like strong artist who was just like, oh yeah, I'm going to solve this mystery, because they were also murder mysteries in those. I'm going to solve this mystery, but it's based in the time of, it's like basically a retelling of the actual novel itself, but with a murder in it. So to me, when I read that, she was a strong character, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then here I went from that to this, and she's this like little meek,
Yeah, that'd be
very, oh yes, I just wanted to marry
My cousin.
who I pined for all these years. And I thought, oh, okay. So I got that mixed up in my brain, thinking that she would be the same as, like, the same styled character from Manslaughter Park to Mansfield Park. So, but that was interesting.
Yeah.
That's also why I wanted to get these books, because I just want murder mysteries set in Jane Austen books. So anyway, Jenna, what did you think? Did you think all of their future fan fiction selves did well?
Like I said, it's funny because as I was reading it, I had to remind myself what had happened in the books, because it's been so long since I've read them. But I felt like they were realistic enough. I felt like it felt appropriate for the time and the type of people they were. I think that specifically, as we've talked about, Emma was the most realistic for me, because even though she's settled down and, like, learned the error of her way, she still can't help but meddle a little bit. And, like, even her husband was like at the end of it, she's like, I invited Juliet Tilney back to see us, and he was like, meddling again. She's like, well, you do have to admit, like, and so he, like, kind of was like, oh yes, you know. And then he's like, but we need a break first. And she's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. You know, like, it just saw, like, growth in her, but still enough of her character that it felt realistic.
For reference, Emma, in the timeline that Claudia Gray created, Emma was set in 1803 to 1804, and the current president of this book is 1820, so that was like 16 years ago, that she was very meddlesome, and she still has it just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, next question today, Jonathan Darcy.
What about you?
Yeah, what about
me?
you?
I already said I liked it.
You liked it.
Yeah. The only thing that I think I didn't care for was just the Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy stuff, but there's a reason for that, and we'll get into that for the spoilers. So yes, next question. Today, Jonathan Darcy would probably be understood as neurodivergent. How do the Regency characters, including Jonathan himself, understand him? In what ways do the differences between Jonathan's time and our own make his life harder or perhaps easier? So,
I think he was my favorite character.
he was fun,
Yeah.
but he was true to himself. Like,
Exactly.
He understood that he didn't see things the way that other people did, and I think he did struggle with it for a little bit, but he also just kind of said, well, this is, especially about the murder mystery, he's like, I'm interested in this, and I'm going to actually go further and obsess over it.
I want to say, like, one of my favorite scenes was when they had the ball and
He talked about his book.
yeah. He's like sitting there like fighting with himself, like, Mother says not to get going on my topic.
It was Napoleon, right?
Yeah,
He was
but I
obsessed
can't-
with Napoleon of all people.
She is asking questions.
Yeah.
Like, so it can't be wrong. And it was like, it was such a moment of like, oh, this is obviously a neurodivergent character. And I mean, he had plenty of other points to that, but that's such a thing that was just such a wonderful like scene to see it, like him struggle with it, because a lot of neurodivergent people, structure helps them make decisions in social situations.
But when you live in a society that is so structured, and he's like, why is she not talking about this? This is not polite conversation.
Right.
She's in her nightgown of all things. Oh my goodness.
Right. And so it's so funny because like I almost think that he would do better in that society because he had but he can't adapt.
Right.
So it was so interesting because it's like where you need to be able to adapt, you're just going to flounder and fail at adapting to those situations. So it was so cool to watch that. I loved watching Jonathan's neurodivergence in this situation where like people didn't know what to do and didn't know how to do things. And even like when he thought like, I have to be touched, but I know when it's going to happen. I know what's going to be expected of me. Like, and so it's like he was able to like talk to himself and figure things out because he had that structure. And it was really cool, I think, to watch that. And it was interesting to watch the other characters interact with him and how for Juliet, she just was like, it's cool, that's how you are, whatever. At first she was like, wow, this guy's a jerk. Like, why are you talking to me this? Or like, I just asked a question. And he's like, we don't talk before dinner time. She's like, what?
Or then he had to like solve a problem, so he immediately just like left her.
Right.
And then when he came back and explained it, she's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Do your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that his neurodivergence was the first thing on my pros list because that was one of the first things I noticed when reading the book, and one of the first things that I liked about the book was learning his character and his little tics and quirks. I think as far as like him being in this society, he is lucky because he was born in the
he's rich.
Like, yeah, he was rich. So if he was not, it would have been treated a lot differently than it was. Everybody else was just kind of like, oh, he's an odd one, but it's fine because he's a handsome young man, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And like Jenna said, the structure of society really helped him out a lot, where he could follow cues and he could follow like, okay, this is how it's supposed to go, so I know how to plan ahead the conversations I'm going to have and how to plan ahead all this stuff. Now with everybody else being like strong, independent women and breaking from society and things changing, yeah, that's what shook it up.
Yeah.
But
I also found it interesting that Elizabeth, early on when we were introduced to Jonathan, calls him more Darcy than Darcy.
Right.
And then, but Fitzwilliam Darcy struggles with connecting with Jonathan and understanding him. And usually, especially if neurodivergent people aren't aware of what's going on in their brain, they are going to have a harder time understanding each other. And especially if he's more so. And Darcy's like, I don't get it. Like, just, and especially men in that time weren't going to really bond with their children that way, you know, and try to see through. And it was interesting to see that, but also to see later on when they did kind of connect and have more of a solid relationship, watching it grow.
Yeah, I thought it was really well done, and I think that it was done in good taste.
Yes.
And I think that as a character, I definitely want to read the next couple books because I think she has at least 4. The third one just came out a couple weeks ago, but she talked about, I'll go on tour for the 4th book or whatever. So there's going to be more, and I don't know if they're all going to be like set in each, but the third one is called the Perils of Catherine de Bourgh, which is also from Pride and Prejudice. The second one is the late Mrs. Willoughby, which is from Sense and Sensibility. Yeah. So I'm interested to see how we go through the story, I guess. But I want to see Jonathan's growth as a character. Not that I feel he needs to change or anything, but his like growth in solving murders, I guess. I don't know. But yeah,
I want to see more of his and Juliet's romance because I felt like by the end of it, I actually was rooting for them because there was those moments of like when she was at the ball and the other girls were interested in Jonathan. The other girl was interested in Jonathan, and she was like, oh, like, and he wanted to dance with her, and it was like those moments of like realizing that they cared for each other, but like society keeps them from being able to like just genuinely have a friendship and like build rapport with each other. So I'm curious, and I hope it doesn't take 4 or 5 books for them to get together, but it would be cute to see. I think that their love story is interesting and cute.
That's another interesting thing I have that when I think of like Jane Austen books and just books set in that time period there was so much just arrangement as far as marriages go that having a romance novel on it just, first of all, heterosexual, but also just does not appeal to me because I'm all like, there's really not much romance you can do because people didn't really have a choice.
Right. Every morning I wake up and I watch a little clip that she posts on Facebook or whatever, and it's History with Amy, and she's just a TikToker or whatever, where she just chooses one person and gives you like a little 5-minute fun fact about them. And so she talks about like their marriage and their life and where they were born and, you know, how they died and stuff. And it's interesting how she always goes into whether their marriage was a love match or a match of, you know, arranged. And then she always uses the words, it was a successful marriage, not in the love, but if they had kids. Yeah. So meaning it was successful only if they had kids.
Yep.
And then, but she would say, not only was it a love match, but they were very successful. So yeah, it's interesting to hear about that when, I mean, back in the day, they could have just said, okay, all right, Juliet and Jonathan, let's get you married. Yeah. And then it was, who was Churchill? Yes. Yeah. His daughter was the one that was like totally smitten with Jonathan at first.
Until he started talking about his book.
Did I write it down? Megan, you failed.
Gosh, how could you have forgotten one of the 10,000 characters in this book?
Seriously. Yeah, I just have Frank Churchill. I didn't write his daughter's name. Anyway, but then she was immediately turned off by him when he started talking about Napoleon. Or was it? No, it wasn't Napoleon. It was the rise and fall of the Roman Empire.
Yeah, it was the rise and fall. And it's interesting, too, because it wasn't really like her going completely like, okay, I'm done dancing with you. It was just kind of like, well, I guess I did ask for this.
Yeah. Yep. She did reap what she sowed. All right, we'll do one more question, and then we'll hop into spoilers. So this is interesting. The characters live in a world with very concrete expectations, rules, and schedules, an experience far less flexible than most of our own lives today. Would you find this constrictive? Or would more defined guidelines make life less uncertain?
I am somebody that goes back and forth on this so often.
Interesting.
I am very much that person that I really like routine. And when I'm in routine, I'm like, oh, I'm feeling good. But after about like 2-3 weeks of routine, I'm all like, okay, this is getting boring. I need something different. And I will shake it up. So I'm constantly fluctuating between schedules and routine and just being chaotic.
So you would be the kind of person that you would have your routine and then every other month you'd be like, okay, let's go to Bath for a vacation. Let's go take in the sea air at Bath. Because Bath is where they always go when they need to heal or something.
Right. Yeah. I would not be able to stick to a structure for a long time.
Yeah. Also, you wouldn't be able to own property, so
No, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
This is hard to
Yeah.
ask 3 women.
Oh yeah. Also, you wouldn't have been able to marry someone you'd love.
No.
Yeah, you'd be.
But
That's
I-
true about a lot of women, and they didn't have to
But
be gay
the
for
nice
that.
thing is that you couldn't be alone with a man, but you could be alone with all the women you wanted. So if you found a lover, no one would think anything of it.
So that's the fun part about all of this is I love all the theories, well, not even theories, but all the way people say, like, yeah, these women were actually gay because they just thought, oh, they were close friends.
they were
And
spinsters together.
spinsters.
They didn't have anybody else, so they stayed together
Yeah, she
until their dying
inherited
day.
her great uncle's whatever.
No, she
and-
didn't. She couldn't. She couldn't inherit anything.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't.
Something happened.
Fun fact, was it you that sent me the spinster is actually a term for a woman who made enough money sewing that she didn't have to marry?
Oh, spin.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But, you
That
know,
is
society
that is a very
and,
fun fact.
yeah, and the patriarchy has made it so that it's an undeemably marriageable woman and therefore bad.
Yeah, she turned 30 and we can't have her anymore.
Yeah.
How old are you, Marissa? Are you 30 yet?
Not yet.
Oh no, I actually saw this one thing where you're a spinster from 23 to 26, and once you're and then once you hit 27, you're not a spinster, and it was this really cool word. I'm gonna look it up.
Not a
right
spinster anymore.
Dang.
What?
You're in a cool word, though.
I have a cool word. That's what a lot of people call me. Cool word.
Thornback.
Thorn.
So unmarried
I'm a
women,
dinosaur.
unmarried women over 26 are called thornbacks, not spinsters.
Yeah.
So yeah, welcome to Thornbackhood.
Thornback.
That
So
that
let's
makes you
redo
sound
the
epic.
intro.
Yes.
This is Jenna Thornback.
I was married at 26.
I was not.
Yes, I got married when I was 26.
I
Yeah.
did not get married till I was 30.
All right, so let's hop into spoilers. So,
I really wanted Fanny to be the one to do it. I knew she was a red herring, but I wanted her to do it.
I felt she had the most, like, what's that word?
Motivation.
Motivation to be the murderer. Turns out it was not the mace. It was,
The best.
what?
The best.
No, who? Marianne. It was Marianne.
Marianne,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it was all a misunderstanding because he was basically trying to attack her, and so it was self-defense. And this actually goes into something that
Interestingly, I did start to put that together, though.
I knew it was going to be a
something-
woman. I knew it was going to be one of the women.
because
Well-
yeah.
So what was interesting is that my complaint was that I wanted more evidence. I wanted more clues because I felt like there wasn't a whole lot of clues. There was like 4 clues throughout the whole book. And that's not a very big book, so that's fine. But Marianne, every time you saw her, was just like in tears. And I was like,
that's not her character.
and that's not her character. And so I was like,
I just rolled my eyes because I'm like, I don't know. For
but
all I knew, she was a weak woman in this time that was very distraught and was crying all the time, like Fanny being quiet all the time.
So, for reference, Marianne was like this spirited, always believed in marriage is all about love, and you need someone who agrees with you on poetry and is like would write these amazing, earth-shattering sonnets for you, and that's true love. And so, when she found that, basically the storyline of Sense and Sensibility is when she found that, she was like, oh yes, this is it. And they were like driving through the streets. You have a single light on your eyeball that is shining from there.
that's funny.
Yeah, you look like you got little glasses. Anyway, so she, so when she found that, they were like racing through the street in their carriage, and they were basically being like young, dumb lovers. And then he realized she was penniless, so he went for somebody else. So he left her. And then Colonel Brandon was this stoic, very old. He was played by Alan Rickman in the movie.
Oh.
And Marianne was Titanic lady, Kate Winslet, in that one. And it came out, I think, before Titanic even came out. So it was like, there was definitely an age gap there. And so he was more this stoic, but he did like love poetry and he wanted to woo her. But he would like pick her wildflowers, whereas Willoughby would be like, have a whole rose or not like, no, Willoughby would be the one with these wildflowers, and she'd be like, oh, that's more romantic because it's wild and free, and he picked it up in the wild in the fields. And then Colonel Brandon would come in with like a very arranged set of flowers for her, and she'd be like, anyway, I do think the Sense and Sensibility movie that came out at that time was really good. It is just a really fun watch. It also has, what's her name?
I don't know.
It has,
we
have...
I need my dad here for this.
Hugh Grant was in it. And
I didn't watch the movie, so I don't know.
she actually, I think she's the voice actor for the novels now.
Emma Thompson?
Emma Thompson, yeah. So she did all of the books now, because when I re-listened to Emma, it was Emma Thompson's voice. Anyway, so that was basically Marianne. So having her go from this very spirited, very, like, strong, independent woman where she's just like, I want true love, but then realizing that, you know, you don't really need all of that, and then marrying the stoic man, and then suddenly now she's the crier. I was like, okay, yeah, something's going on with her. It's definitely her.
Yeah, I was like, something happened that they wouldn't explain it. They were explaining everyone else's stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what threw me off, is I was like, she's crying, but like, we don't get any reasoning for why she's crying so much. And then
she's thinking about, did I marry the right person?
I'm like,
because he's...
Well, no, she was like obsessed with him. She was like, I do love him. He doesn't think that I loved him, but I do love him.
Yes.
But it was just like, she, all of a sudden after he, what's his face died, it was like, and suddenly I have no character interest at all other than crying.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, that seems weird. It seems weird that she doesn't, like, there doesn't feel like there's any motive. There's not giving any, like, hints towards why she might have something going on. Fanny had this whole thing with her brother. The Darcys had their whole thing with his daughter. And it was like,
the Knightley's brother was indebted to him, so they had a connection to him.
And I was just like,
I think if I sat down and was actually trying to figure it out, I would have figured it out pretty easily. And it's mostly because of that they didn't put attention on her, because that's the formula of it's the last person you guess, because they're not giving you anything for him. The other thing that I really wanted was when Juliet became a suspect. I'm all like, oh, that would have been a really interesting twist if she actually did it, because the first person you prove innocent is usually the one that does it.
Right.
And she was the first person proven innocent because she's the one that cried out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that would have been really cool if it was her.
And we know that she went out to the privy.
Yeah.
yes.
But we didn't see her come back until she screamed, so...
Yeah. And I thought... And she was trying to, like... I mean, it would have been really stupid, but she was doing all that stuff of, like, well, it could have been a woman. It could have been a woman.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
We could lift this stuff up. It's totally fine. We're not that weak.
And Darcy was like, what? You, what?
It could? You can?
Oh.
Yeah.
But I definitely, when I thought that theory, even though I knew it was a wrong theory, I guessed why it would have been of him trying to force himself upon her in self-defense.
Yeah. And I like that they did that, because that also, as I said earlier, I didn't want it to be anybody, but having it be her, but in a, a version of self-defense, made it plausible.
Yeah.
And okay, I guess.
And it's totally fine. There's no repercussions if it's self-defense.
Right. I also...
Except for the nightmares that you get from killing someone.
Right. Or the fact that your husband tried to say it was him and he almost went to jail for you.
Right.
Which, if that's not romantic, I don't know.
I'm sorry. That's too cookie cutter romance. It's not wild.
That's pretty darn wild, yeah. But yeah, so let's talk about Fanny Price's motivation. And I loved that she included this in, because her brother sent a letter to her and basically was just like, yeah, I'm in love with my shipmate and we're going to be together. And when Wickham found it out, he's like, oh, yep, he's going to die because I'm going to let everyone know. And I also, oh my God, she did such a good job of making him just a horrible character, where he's like, I want your money. So she's like, here's my ring. It's worth a lot. And he's like, okay, thanks. Here's the seal to your letter. You don't actually get the letter back. He was such a jerk.
Yeah.
But I love that she included some queer characters. Well, a queer character.
The singular queer.
I do
Side
hope
character.
That was just a letter. That's all it was.
a letter of proclamation that he is in love.
In a time period that can get you killed, writes it in a letter.
Right?
Well, what are you going to do? Send an email?
You don't say
send it.
anything.
You wait till you're with
in
the person.
And you don't
Okay.
say it to your sister who's married
To a freaking
Parish.
yeah.
parishioner, yeah. A Vikram.
Yeah.
That
no,
did lead-
is that what they're called? Vikram?
Um,
I'm thinking of
Vicar.
Jasmine Throne. Vicar. Vikram was in
Yeah.
Jasmine Throne.
That did lead though to one of my favorite scenes in there, which was the Bible off.
I loved that scene.
That was so funny. Oh my god, continue, please.
Yeah,
Tell us what happened.
Because I don't remember the names of these people because I didn't make a character list and I don't know who they are. But there was that one lady that showed up with her husband who was also part of the church, and they were trying to be
Was
like
it Churchill? No.
it wasn't. It was Edmund, who's Fanny's husband, and then who were these? It was what's his face's.
I think she was rivals with Emma or something like that
Yeah,
because she
it was-
wanted to bring Emma down, and so she was trying to make those snide remarks about like, oh, you're scandalized because somebody was murdered in your abbey and all that. But anyways, so her husband, who's part of the church, starts trying to like make these snide comments
it.
using
Where was it? Oh, hang on, sorry. I'm trying to find the character's name. But basically, it was, my love for him is absolute, as it should be. God's first law is love. Oh, no, that's about the brother. Never mind.
Weston? Was it Weston?
That doesn't sound familiar to me, but it
No.
might have been a different character. Anyway, yes, go on.
Anyways, so they come in, they're trying to make these snide comments, and they're using like Bible verses to kind of make digging comments at them. And freaking Edmund comes in with his own like, I love when people use the Bible and people that know the Bible can use it right back because it's just a book of contradictions.
I also love that he made that point.
Yeah,
Like, he made the point of it being a book of contradictions.
exactly. So that's why it was my favorite scene, is because every time somebody tries to use the Bible as a reason why they should or should not do something,
Mr. Elton.
Every time they try to use the Bible as a reason why they should or should not do something, somebody else finds something to use.
Yeah, I loved that, and I loved that they used that as a way for Edmund to figure out that he was in the wrong.
Yeah.
And that's so often how people end up realizing, like, they're wrong, because we're very rarely convinced we're wrong by someone else telling us that we're wrong. But when we look at things and we're like, oh.
I found it.
Okay. What you got, Megan?
So it says, Mr. Bertram, how good to have another man of the cloth present. Perhaps you will be able to lead a private service for those at Donwell Abbey. Much more appropriate. Do you not agree? And then Edmund replied, I do not agree. The church should not be close to those going through time of travail. It is then that the comfort and wisdom of our Lord is most needed. And then they hop into... Sorry, there's a really long paragraph. As is written in 1 Corinthians, we are not to associate with those who have committed sinful acts, even if they call themselves Christians. We are not even to eat with them, much less share a house of worship. Edmund replied, and yet in Luke, chapter 6, we are told, judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned. Forgive, and ye shall be forgiven. And then it just keeps going. Oh, but Ephesians, is that how you say it? I don't know. But Ephesians chapter 5 is clear. Have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. To admit the murderer among us, surely it is to have fellowship in such the works. And then, I cannot agree. I would rather cite James chapter 5. He which converteth the sinner from the error of his way shall have the soul from death. And then that's so funny.
That's just exactly what even today, I think that was the most relevant thing to today
Yeah.
that I read in there, was people using Bible verses to get their point across, and people being able to use Bible verses to contradict that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I can use your argument against you.
Right.
And I appreciated that. That was my favorite scene in the book.
Yeah, I did like that scene. That was definitely up there in the top favorites. But like I said, I loved also that was the moment where Edmund was like, oh snap, I've been a jerk because I just called myself out on this. I shouldn't have been so mean to my wife and told her to cast her brother aside.
Exactly. I think that was such an important scene.
Right.
For his character growth and him realizing he's like, I do not agree with it, but I'm not going to ever stop you from seeing your brother or from, contacting him or being a part of his life. And I will be a part of his life.
Right.
Even if I do not agree.
It was very interesting, too, to watch Fanny's struggle with it. And, like, her letter at the end to her brother where she was like, you asked for my understanding. She's like, I can't understand. And it was so interesting because Fanny says, I can't understand. Because sex is not talked about in that time. Mm-hmm. Women are literally sent into their marriages with, like, let me give you a quick rundown. Like, spread your legs and have fun. Like, do your wifely duties. And, that's literally, like, they're given nothing throughout their whole lives. So she's like, I can't even figure out how two men would do that. And so, like, for her, she's like, I can't understand, but that doesn't mean I don't love you.
Right.
And that was such a beautifully written point because it's so easy for us in modern day to be like, you should understand. But back then she wouldn't have. And so the fact that Claudia Gray looked at it and thought from Fanny's perspective and how she would be feeling and wrote true to that instead of what you want to be seeing and feeling right now was really cool, I thought.
Yeah.
I really want William to be in a future novel, if not the very next one. I want him to be part of the characters now because we've had the main characters except for from Northanger Abbey, Juliet's parents, the Catherine Tilney and Henry Tilney. We have everyone else. But I do think, in Sense and Sensibility, it's about the two sisters.
Yeah.
So we haven't had the other sister yet. And then we also have Jane from Pride and Prejudice. So her and Bingley will have to come out sometime.
I also found it interesting the way they wrote Wickham and Lydia and stuff. And I felt like that was well done in how sad it was because how it was in the books and how everything went down. Like, Lydia was kind of spoiled and all of this stuff, and the fact that she died and had no interest in being a parent and doing all those things. It was the way it affected Elizabeth was well written, I thought, because it shows the complicated nature of siblings and how you love them even when they're at their worst. And
thanks.
Yeah. And how it still affects you and how strong that affection is while you can still be so overwhelmed by it too.
I also really loved that because in the book she's closest with her sister Jane.
Yes.
But once Jane goes off with Bingley and then once Lydia passed away, her and her sister Mary, who in the book was always this like bookish, studious, I only want to play the pianoforte, and even then it's like very rigid and doesn't have like feeling in it, and I only want to read the Bible. And I loved that after Lydia's death it brought them closer together because in Pride and Prejudice she was very much just a like one-off side character that you didn't really pay attention to, or if you did you just be like, oh, she's annoying.
Yeah.
But she married and she found someone who she loved so much that they ended up having like 8 kids or something.
Yeah.
I loved that. And her and Elizabeth were closer. I also would love to see more of her as well because I'd love to see her character outside of what Pride and Prejudice had. But Lydia dying was actually really shocking to me.
Yeah.
Because she's such a very loud character, I should say. I don't want to say strong, but she's a very loud character. And I've always found it interesting in the 1995 BBC version, the 6-hour-long version. It almost seemed like at the end of that, Wickham was like, well, I'm forced to marry Lydia. Basically, in the book, he runs off of Lydia.
Thank you for clarifying.
He runs off of Lydia to get her. I think he like tried to, get her pregnant to get her money and then realized that they didn't have that much money. But Darcy found them and then made them get married. Otherwise, her honor and reputation would be ruined. Thus, the entire family of the Bennets' reputation would be ruined. So they ended up getting married. And in the BBC version, he almost seemed to be like, yeah, whatever, I think I could be happy because he got the money from Darcy. But in the 2005 version with Keira Knightley, you could tell he was like, oh, God, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And I think they left it very ambiguous in the book.
Yeah.
About whether he genuinely wanted to marry Lydia or if he did not. But in this book, obviously, they did not like each other.
Yeah.
They liked each other enough to have a kid.
It was interesting because the way they put it in this, like, they coexisted well because they were the same type of person.
Yes.
They were both very selfish
Yes.
and only cared about themselves. And she wasn't going to call him out for being a villain, and he was just going to, do what he was going to do. But when she died, he didn't care.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting.
And I think she even mentioned in this, well, at least Elizabeth's point of view, that if they did love each other, it was a very different kind of love that
Right.
that Elizabeth could never understand.
Right.
All right. Do you guys have any last final thoughts?
Honestly, for me, the whole William bit was being the only queer representation was really difficult for me because this was literally a book about 6 heterosexual couples and their love stories with each other. So I definitely don't think I would have read this book on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Murder Mystery was interesting for it, but I think I wish, like Jenna said, it had more clues and I could have figured it out a little bit better. But yeah, other than that, it was well written. I liked the characters well enough. I liked the autistic representation in there. The love story was fine.
I honestly didn't really think there was even a love story. Like, she had moments where she was like, yeah, I kind of find him attractive, or mostly to the point of, I don't want him looking at other people. I didn't think it was,
I felt it was obvious.
in your face about it.
I felt it was very
it.
obvious
Okay,
in your face.
I guess my thing is,
It felt as in your face as any other Jane Austen novel could be. There wasn't going to be a sweeping Bridgerton kiss in the gardens that's going to make them...
I guess that was what I was going to say, is I think there was no kissing, so it wasn't obvious. They didn't even hold hands.
It was all of them just thinking about each other, though, and how the other one perceives them. And
Yeah.
Okay. They were thinking about each other because they're just like, oh, I got to tell him this. I found a new clue. I got to talk to her about this.
Also, but she's like, oh, but I'm going to go sneak off and do this. And does he want to dance with me, or is he going to ask me to dance, or is he going to?
Okay,
yeah,
there was pining.
so and it's sad, and it's like
it was obvious. There was something in the very beginning when they were invited that it was like,
Oh,
they're
there
the
was a
two
plot.
young people.
There was
Yeah.
a plot.
But it was said by the characters even.
Yeah.
That it was
Well, it was
like
Emma.
You're
Emma
trying
was
to
like-
set these people up.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
The whole point of Emma is she's the matchmaker,
yeah,
and she thinks she's really good at it, and then sometimes she's not.
yeah.
God, I love that. I'm going to go home and watch Clueless now. Oh, I actually was in such a big, Jane Austen mood that I found the BBC version of Sense and Sensibility, and I watched it right after.
Oh.
And that one's only 2 episodes, not 6 episodes. But yeah, it was really fun.
It makes me want to go and watch the movies. I don't want to reread the books. That's a big commitment for me, but
It's
it
a
does
big
make me
commitment.
want to watch the movies. I really have to be in the mood for any Regency era novels. So I have to really get my head wrapped around it if I'm going to do that.
All right. So, what I'm curious for you, Marissa, and I guess for you, Jenna, as well. What would have to happen in book 2? So, if I were to read book 2, what would have to happen in it for me to be like, yes, you would actually, not actually, but you would enjoy this one? More clues? But there's a fine line between not enough clues and too many clues, right?
yeah, that's what I was talking about with murder mysteries, is that you can't have so many clues that it's obvious, but you can't not have any clues to
Right.
where you can't even try to piece it together yourself. So it's a delicate balance in there.
I think I'll listen to it either way.
Yeah.
I think I'll probably listen to the book.
I will say-
liked it enough that I cared and wanted to read the next book.
I will say...
Sudden spin, there's a lesbian. 2 of the women aren't actually happy in their marriages, and they
run off together.
they have an affair, but their husbands are off doing their own thing, so no one notices that they're living together.
Oh.
The hard part about that, though, is that, and the other hard thing about thinking of that is that even if they did make a character gay in there, or a lesbian character in there, I would either think it'd be such a side character that it would feel like I just threw that in there. Exactly. I just threw that in there so that it's in there. Or it wouldn't feel genuine to me, I think, and it would be very difficult. So I'll be honest, I don't think I'm going to read any of the rest of them because I don't like the romance of any of it. Even though this one was a murder mystery, there was so much romance in it.
Okay.
That I think if there was like little to no romance at all, maybe, and the murder mystery was good, but the rest of it I don't think I could do.
I'm looking at her the Also by Claudia Gray list of books, and I'm trying to remember, because I read the Constellation series, so that's Defy the Stars, Defy the Worlds, and Defy the Fates. I read that series, which I don't quite remember. I think it was one of those where they were like rivals in a space war, and I don't remember how well it was, but the Firebird series, is she like laid the groundwork within the first book, and then the payoff in the third book was like absolutely amazing. So I'm wondering if that would be the same thing where she's laying the groundwork of these side characters that are mentioned very briefly to come up later, because I think you gotta.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see.
Also needs to be less exposition at the beginning.
That's Jane Austen, though.
Well, I know, but and that's why I don't read Jane Austen.
That's very much Jane Austen, where she's like, oh yeah, here's this family. It's like, did you ever read the Iliad?
Yeah. No, I read Odyssey.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the Iliad, he was like, okay, here's the war between Troy and, I don't remember, Macedonia or whatever. I don't remember. And here is literally every person who is fighting in that war and their family tree. And, oh yeah, we'll also mention like their village and what's about their village. And it was basically just like listing every single person who was fighting in that war. And it was so rough.
Yeah.
That's when I quit. I wanted to get to the actual like Trojan horse part. But from what I heard, that is like the last 20 pages. Correct me if I'm wrong. For those who have read the Iliad, please tell me. Anyway, I'm very curious. I already bought the second book. I bought them both at the same time because 1, it was Claudia Gray, and 2, it was a Jane Austen murder mystery, which kind of put me in the mood last year when I read the Tirzah Price books. And I'm very curious. When we go book shopping, hint, hint, I will be picking up the third book. And I will let you guys know. But yeah, just for reference, even though we have done this in the past where we read the sequels, we will not be doing it for this one.
Yeah.
Talking about it, so...
Yeah.
Do we happen to have an idea for a book we're going to be doing next time that will not be happening for a very long time?
Didn't Marissa tell us?
Yeah.
So
you already told us?
She told us.
I think I did in the last one because we were doing
That was
the
last
check-in.
week.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
these things.
So for right now, it will be a little while ahead, so I reserve the right to change this in
Oh, of
case
course,
I decide
yeah.
to, or I look up reviews and it gets
just
really bad.
Pull a Jenna and change your book.
Really funny. I saw
Exactly.
this book pop up on one of the Facebook book
Of course.
things.
They're listening to us.
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, that's the one Marissa wanted us to read.
Yeah, so the plan for right now, for a very distant future, so you guys have plenty of time to read this if you want to, or wait, because we assign way too much reading, and I think we need to take a break from
I agree.
What are you
assignments.
talking about?
I agree.
But our next book that I have decided for us to read is going to be Dreadful by Caitlin Rozakis, I think. And that is
Ooh.
the book where a guy wakes up in a dark wizard's tower, not knowing anything, with his memory erased, and figures out that he is the dark wizard.
Right. Okay. This is ringing bells.
Yeah,
now.
and he's got like a princess in his dungeon. There's a big plan. He's trying to figure out what's going on. And I think it's just going to be a comedy of errors and commentary on tropes. So
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
So-
what shows that.
For all 3 of our books that we have chosen so far this year,
What did I choose?
yeah, what did you choose?
You did Tempest of Tea.
That's right,
Tempest
okay.
of Tea. So they were all very fantasy based.
Yeah.
So that's why I ended up choosing this kind of murder mystery, because I thought it'd be a little breath of fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that yours is kind of, even though it has a little bit of mystery and a little bit of fantasy in there, I think it'll be a comedy book that will be really fun.
Yeah,
to talk
that's
about.
what I wanted to do. It's less of a super intrigue, thought-provoking one and more of just a fun book to read. Although
Yeah.
this could turn into very thought-provoking. I haven't looked much into it,
Yeah.
so...
So I looked up in my group on Facebook to see what the person had said about it, and they said, I haven't finished this yet, but I'm really enjoying this cozy read. So it's going to be
It's cozy.
cozy.
Okay.
So
Oh, I hope it's not like Legends and Lattes.
Me
though.
too.
If it's like... No offense, but if it's like Legends and Lattes, I'm changing the book, guys.
however, I was going to say the ratings on Goodreads are really high. 4 stars, 5 stars, 4 stars. Usually I see a lot of at least one
Negative,
1 or 2
slower.
star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
It is new. It did come out this year, so...
Oh, okay. Give it time.
Yeah, that was something... Well, no,
Okay.
it was something that I wanted. I was trying to look up books that came out recently. 1, so I knew it was something we hadn't read. And
Yeah.
2, to give us something more fresh.
Mm-hmm. Do we want to talk about our other assigned reading that we're working on?
Well, this is our goal. Our goal right now, I think, is that at the end of each month, we were saying we were going to release a assigned reading book. So we have August, September, October, November, and then we're hoping to take a little break for the holiday season. But or who knows? Maybe we'll all read Dreadful in time, and you can have a Dreadful at the end of the month of December. But we are hoping that we can release at the end of each month one of our Sisterhood of the Traveling books. We're going to do an episode per book is what we're hoping, so that it's not so condensed this time. And you'll get those 4 books. The Jasmine Throne by Tasha
Not
Suri.
necessarily in this order.
Not necessarily in this order.
Yes.
Which was Marissa's choice. The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by S.A. Chakrabarti.
Shannon Chakraborty.
No, I'm not going to even try. And Eon by Alison Goodman, and then The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. So those are the 4 books that we'll be finishing up this year, and that way we don't give you guys any more assigned reading for the rest of the year, hopefully.
But that
So
doesn't
just
mean
finish those 4 books.
Yeah.
that doesn't mean we're stopping you from adding to your TBR.
Right.
We will still be discussing all books, and if
Right.
there's anything that's intriguing for you,
That doesn't mean we're sticking to this at all, guys. We are winging it. We might all of
Yeah.
a sudden next week be like, actually, guys, we're going to all read this book. Let's read this together. Which is what happened with Girls of Paper and Fire for us.
Yes.
we did that to ourselves.
And you never know. There might come a point where, when we're not doing our assigned reading, we decide to read a book that the other 2 have read and want
Oh
to
yeah,
talk about it.
Yeah.
So
right. That's
true.
true. That's
we
true.
will try to give you guys a heads up.
By the Orange Tree, Jenna.
I know. I was just thinking about that. I need to do Dead Romantics because we did that episode so long ago.
Yeah.
Yep. I am
Well, you
not-
have a whole series. So
I'm not going
ex-
to commit to that. I have too many books and no desire to continue that series, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But all right, Jenna, where can they find us?
Find us on Instagram or Facebook, the Braless Book Guild podcast, and send us an email, bralessbookguild@gmail.com. Follow along, like, review, subscribe. Let us know that you like listening to us. We really like hearing from you guys, so if there's books that you think that we'd all enjoy or you'd like us to talk about, send them our way, because we love recommendations, even though we just told you that we didn't like homework.
It doesn't even have to be books, guys. If you think of just topics that you want to talk
Yeah.
about, because as you guys know by now, we do random topics too. So if you think like, oh, this is an interesting thing that I'd like to see what your guys' opinions are on it, let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we have
we-
plans for My Lady Jane series to discuss that, and that's kind of
Yeah.
on topic, off topic.
Yeah. So send us anything that you think that we would enjoy talking about. We'd be able to talk about for about an hour and a half, and then yap your ear off.
I mean, we could even just do a whole episode on tea.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. So let's end off with what you guys are reading. Marissa, what are you currently reading?
Finishing up Jasmine Throne.
Wow.
Back in time.
Yeah, we recorded this way at the beginning of the year. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm finishing up The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi. I am debating on just powering through the Unmaking of June Farrow to get that done in time for us to actually record these episodes. But like I've been talking about, struggling with assigned reading right now.
Yeah, I am currently in between. I'm not like, since I just finished Jasmine Throne, and that was a brick of a book. I am taking a break and doing the Luminaries. Oh, the Luminaries by Susan Dennard, which is my first Susan Dennard book, by the way. Even though I have the whole series from Jenna, the whole Truth Witch, Wind Witch,
Yeah.
Shadow Witch. I
There's,
don't know.
I think, a fourth one or something.
Yeah, I have
Fifth
4.
one coming out. I
Oh,
don't know.
wow.
I just remember I read all of them and they still weren't completed, and I was like, do I care enough to finish this? And I was like, I'm just giving this to Megan.
Oh, thanks. And then for audiobook, I'm doing Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bone, which is very good so far. It is Little Mermaid meets Princess Mononoke based in African folklore. And it's very fun.
Next.
So yeah, how about you, Jenna?
I'm in between books at the moment. I really want to go and pick up the physical copy of Five Broken Blades. Me and Megan have talked about this.
I got my
Yeah.
Target copy, and it's real pretty.
Yeah, I really want to go pick that up, so that might be what I read next. But yeah, I really want a physical book right now. I've been doing a lot of them on my phone, and I just really need a physical book.
You tired of reading a llama red pajama?
No, I've read it a lot of times.
Every time you finish it, do you upload it on your Goodreads?
Books?
So you can, yeah, Llama Red
Llama
Pajama
Llama,
I should.
over and
I
over.
should. You've read this 426 times this week.
It's like the person on Netflix who said, was talking about their statistics, and they said someone out there watched B-Movie 500 times in 1 year, and they said, we just wanted to reach out and make sure that person is okay. But the new Ashley Poston book came out, so
Yeah.
that's another one that you could probably get physical copy and really enjoy.
I considered making that my book of the year next year.
Oh, interesting.
Because we like Ashley Poston.
We like Ashley Poston.
And she's fun to... I could have a lot of fun annotating. So, possibly. I'm considering.
And they're all, well, those books at least are not part of a series. They
Right.
may interconnect, but
Yeah.
they're not part of a series. That's a novel love story.
Right.
So, yeah, that might be fun.
Yeah. I just want to go to a bookstore, though, and maybe buy a book. Should I? No. Do I want to? Yes.
All right, so we will end on a quote, and this quote is from The Murder of Mr. Wickham by Claudia Gray. And as I was reading this book, I highlighted it, took a picture, and sent it to you guys because I thought it was so cute. And Marianne, our murderess herself, said this, and it said, I am inclined to think it cannot be too early to read should the choice of book be worthy. And so obviously she's speaking to our souls, because I was actually just talking to my friends where we're all going to be on vacation next week in one house together, and one person was like, what time do you guys get up? And I said, oh, I'm up at 6 a.m. for a walk or something. And she's like, oh, I'll probably get up at like 8 and read for 2 hours. And I was like, that also sounds good.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I would do that, but my walk will be audiobook, so yeah.
There's always books involved.
Always. I am also, the Luminaries, I am annotating that to give to Hannah, best friend Hannah,
Best friend Hannah.
because books.
I need that merch.
I know.
Best friend Hannah.
Give it to all our friends, Hannah.
I
All the
do
Hannahs.
I can run to Joann's and make a shirt, because this comes out after we meet up, so she'll never know. It'll be a secret. But I do have stuff to make shirts, because I made them for my old coworkers before we got laid off. So I could do that, make merch for her specifically. It's only Hannah can wear it.
I just want to say best friend Hannah, and then I want the giant, our guild, without our picture, without our faces, but just the guild, like on the back.
All right. If you guys want merch, let us know.
I think it should, like, for everybody, it should be like everyone needs a best friend Hannah.
Yes.
There you go. And then Cassandra Clare, comma, take a drink.
Take a drink.
I like it. All right. Potentially merch coming soon if requested.
If you guys all want it. That would be great.
We'll ask your mom to model it for
Yes.
Instagram.
Oh my gosh.
I like it. We got to get all ages.
Yeah.
Good representation. Okay. Thank you guys for reading and discussing The Murder of Mr. Wickham with me. I'm sorry that I got 2 books this season and you guys only got 1. Next year, you guys will have more. And
Next year it'll be Marissa gets 2, and
and then
you
the
guys
following
and then
year.
it'll be Jenna. That's how it goes.
Well, maybe we won't decide to read an entire trilogy for
Yeah,
Pride Month. That's really where we threw a
Yeah.
wrench in our
Yeah.
plans.
All right. So next month we will fill you in on what we're reading from our book.
Yeah.
What is that called?
Sisterhood of the Traveling Books.
That. And all right. This is a long outro.
Bye, guys.
Bye.